life isn't always a bowl of cherries. There are people that come into our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Welcome back to the Cannonball Mindset. And this interview is like, I don't even know how to describe it, because the whole backstory of how to get to Claude Silver. She's the Chief Heart Officer. It's just an amazing story. We had to postpone, and we're back, and it's amazing. And I was on the train coming up today, thinking, how do you introduce somebody as amazing as Claude Silver, which you'll find out over the next hour. And I was really struggling with them. Like, I don't want to do her any disservice. I want to make sure I, introduce her as great as she is, and then all of a sudden the universe speaks to me, and I see this post as I'm on the train, and I'm just going to read the post. I know this is probably against the rules of being an interviewer to steal somebody else's post, but she posted it, so I'm reading this shit. I don't care.
It's meta.
It's right? Meta. Yeah, that's where we go. All right, here it goes. Claude Silver. If you don't follow her, by the way, on Instagram and Facebook, Claude Silver, follow her right now. Pause the podcast, follow her. All right, here we go. So it says 30 years of working with people in corporate cultures. 30 years managing and growing people. 40 years of being curious. Love that. 15 of those years working as strategist, studying human behavior. 3 years as the Chief Heart Officer at Vaynermedia. 5 years working alongside Gary Vee. 40 plus years on this earth running from and then watching and working with my own behavior. Deep shit. Living is where my thoughts come from. Observing, failing, falling, forgiving, growing, standing up, standing tall, and being in action. Reach out with questions. Know that I'm here for you. Please share this message with your people. And then hearts all over the freaking place. That shit is, that shit's just incredible.
That almost makes me cry. I mean it. Listening to someone read something that I wrote just in a second.
From the heart.
Yeah.
From the heart, right?
That's all I got.
It's crazy, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm reading it, and I'm going, I always wanted to, I always think there's titles all around. Everybody's got a title now. And I see people say I'm the Chief Culture Officer, and I'm the Chief People Officer, and the Commissioner of Love, and all these titles, right? And then I meet you, and I'm like, the Chief Heart Officer. I've never heard this before I met you. So now I'm doing research. I'm like, all right, is it a title or is it a belief? And then I meet you, and that shit is all belief. Like, that's not. You don't do that for the title. You do it for the teacher, right?
Yeah.
That shit is awesome.
That's it. Thank you.
It's incredible, and I think that's I want to spend the next hour. We could talk about HR policies and HR this, but there's no inspiration in that. No offense, it's important. We need it.
I'm with you.
But that's not why you're here. That's not why you're here.
That's right.
So I could talk about Gary Vee and how amazing it is, and maybe you'll mention his name here or there. But this is 100% about Claude Silver. Because the more I've gotten to know you, the more fascinated I am with you. So let's get into this. So let's start at the beginning. Let's go all the way back, right?
Those 40 plus years that you just mentioned.
That's it. We're covering 40 years in 40 minutes. This is going to be epic. So right. I want to know, how does one become the Chief Heart Officer for Gary Vee or Vaynermedia, but how does one have that? Where did this desire to want to lead with your heart come from? A lot of people say they want it, but I see it in your actions.
Thanks, Chad. I mean, it's so trite to just tell you that that's all I got, but it's really where I am. I don't have a lot going on in my head. Yeah. I really never have. Sometimes awesome. I freak myself out. Like, what's up with that? There are no thoughts other than song lyrics. My parents used to tell me I thought too much with my heart. And that back in the day, 13, 14, 15, that hurt me.
Yeah, right.
Because I didn't have maybe I hadn't honed my critical thinking skills. But I can remember from being in nursery school wanting to be a champion for kids. I can remember wanting to help the little kids out.
Yeah.
And throughout my adolescent life, even in my ups and downs, I always have been a cheerleader and a coach for people. Yeah. I have a fundamental belief in people. I don't know where it comes from other than maybe my grandmother, my Nana, who passed away a year and a half ago at 101, my heart. And I think, growing up with someone who always is putting other people first, but knowing that she's confident in herself did something to me. I mean, I am not joking when she would be in the shop or at Trader Joe's and she would say, as she's getting her change, would you do me a favor? And the clerk would say, yeah, sure. Would you have a nice day? I mean, that's authentic shit.
That's great shit right there.
So I have a flame inside for people, and I have a very strong flame for myself. There have been many moments in my younger years where that flame went to a very small flicker, but it never gave up. It never went out. And I think you put those two things together, my belief in human beings and how much I appreciate being on this earth and what I'm given, and the fact that I have a heck of a lot of grit and perseverance. I'm like a little fighter, even though
if you just look at her red shoes, she's a fighter, she's a badass. Right?
But my dad's an entrepreneur, so he's someone that believes in people. My mom's a psychotherapist. She's someone that helps to heal people. I've always known that I was really highly intuitive, and there was something to do. I knew I had so much potential. I just didn't land on my purpose until a little bit later.
Yeah, it takes a while. I want to go back because you said something that you're getting ready to be a mother. Congratulations!
Thank
you're gonna rock at motherhood.
Thank you.
Rock at motherhood. But I want to go back, and you said my parents always told me I think too much with my heart.
Yeah.
And I think that I can't speak for your parents, but I being a father myself, I think people say that, or they most likely said that out of love, because the challenge is that when people think too much with their heart, parents want to protect them because that means you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
That means you're putting yourself out there.
Straight up.
And no parent wants to see their kid hurt, but you can't have love without the hurt. I'm saying that it's the ultimate dichotomy. I'm saying that you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
And so if you truly want to lead with your heart, then you have to put yourself out there to get hurt, which most parents don't want to.
Yeah. No, it's a dichotomy.
Right.
It's got to be a real like it's painful. It has to be. And in 16 years, when my kid's 16, I will call you and I will tell you the same thing. And I'll be like, Chad, what did I get into? Oh my God. Yeah, but I think they saw that I was highly sensitive, and I was an empath at a very early age, skewing very right-brained, and I was a giver. And it took me a long time to learn that I needed to give to myself. I needed to fill the Swiss cheese that I had going on and then I could really be a giver to people and really provide like something amazing. And that takes a little bit of time to kind of heal yourself. Figure out your shit. Spend time like looking at all the warts.
Yeah, right. It's hard. I say to my kids all the time. I say, I love you. Tell me why. And most people think I'm crazy, but this is what I've learned about in the world is that the world's a very sexist place, and the world is going to look at my daughters much different than they look at me, look at boys, and it is a fact. And I wouldn't have known that. I would have been absolutely ignorant to the fact had I not had daughters.
Yeah. But
I now see it. And so it's great that they know I love them, and they'll know that every day. But what they have to say to themselves is, you love me because I'm smart, because I'm beautiful, because I'm powerful, because I'm this. And what they're doing is they're making sure that flame that you just talked about never flickers.
Yeah.
Because if they believe it, then they can give it to the world. But if they don't believe it, they can't give it to the world, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. And most kids, you say that to them, you know what they say? You love me because you're my parent, you have to.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible way to live. So, but I want to talk about, I want to talk about the fact that you got to this part leading with your heart, but you had to have gone through some pain. You had to have gone through some turmoil to get to sit where you are, to lead with your heart. And I don't want to rehash pain, but I do want to ask you, what were the hurdles and the mountains you had to come over to get to here? Because I think there's people at home that they want the roses and the sunshine, but they're stuck in the dark clouds. And how do they get out of it?
Look, I appreciate that question because for a long time, I think I've wanted to kind of out myself a little bit, because look, I'm 49 years old. I have an incredible life, an incredible partner, incredible job. I have every opportunity open to me in the world. There was a time in my life when I didn't have options. I didn't give myself options. I allowed myself to be in some really, really shitty relationships. I had a very mild addiction to cocaine from 15 to 22. Where look, it started off as a experimentation, and I'm all for experimentation, and it became a really best friend to me. And it wasn't that I didn't have best friends. I didn't know how to be my own friend. Right. And I swapped that pain of being addicted to a substance that was just not taking me anywhere, that's for sure. And some real bad stories in that book of life. And I went straight into my first relationship with a woman, and it was highly abusive. And I would never get into the gore, but I can't even begin to articulate what that's like after being hit or pushed or shoved or slammed, and you're sitting there, me, thinking, but wait, I know better. I grew up in a great home.
Right.
Why is this happening to me? I know better. I know this is wrong. And then because of my character, because I'm a caretaker, and in those days I didn't know what codependency was, I went and took care of that person right after, concussion or no concussion, Chad. And those are bad times. Those are really, really bad times. Yeah. Lying about it, lying to my parents about it, lying to my coworkers about it, covering up black eyes with makeup. Yeah. And it took everything I had at that moment, and it was 24 and a half when I left that relationship. Yeah. Even though I had run away many times, it took everything I had to just say, no, that's it. And she was extremely, I'm going to kill myself and all that stuff. It's just bad. Oh, yeah. And again, I just need to say, I'm not there today. It took me a while to unravel that. You don't just leave a relationship and be like, cool, I'm great, I'm good, I'm healed. Yeah. You're like, what the F happened to me?
Deep dive.
What happened there? So again, not to belabor the gore of it all, but it's a big question when someone really wants to know about me. I think one needs to know what it took to get here, and it took a lot of crawling on the floor, a lot of praying, a lot of scrambling with everything I had to find a purpose in my life that was greater than myself, and start to heal and become my own Sherpa.
Yeah, right. It's a lot, so much in there.
Sorry.
Listen, this is the thing about this. It just amazes me, because I think a lot of people, they look at people and they look where they are. And I just had this conversation with somebody the other day, and they look where they are, and they assume that they got here by either magic carpet, or they were born into it, or they just lucked into this life, and really what it is it's a culmination of everything you've gone through. But the getting there is so difficult and so hard and so dangerous for so many people. And I often tell my daughters that they are strong, powerful women that will absolutely change the world.
Yeah.
And for you, that's how you got the strong, powerful woman march. Started for you the day you made your first choice to experiment with drugs or to get in a bad relationship, and all of that was this march towards where you are now. And it's remarkable.
Thank you.
It's absolutely remarkable. And so how does one, I know that we shared a ton of books, right? So we sat and we talked about books last time I was here, and there's a great book called When Things Fall Apart.
Yeah,
right?
Pema.
Right, Pema. And you had mentioned when we were talking that this book saved my life, that this was a big book for you, right? And if you haven't read it, game changer. To me, it's right up there with As a Man Thinketh. For me, that was a big game changer for me. Return to Love, which you have sitting here, which
the best book
I can't tell you how many of those copies of those book I bought. Marianne Williamson's going to be on the show, and so how can a book have such an impact on you?
That title, When Things Fall Apart, were the exact 4 words that I was living. The exact 4 words. So I'm going to go to Gary for a second.
Yeah.
There's something about Gary that he says things in the most simplistic way that just cut straight to the bone. Right. And they're very like 4, 5, 6 words. And they affect people because it's those words are meeting that person where they are. Yeah, right. When things fall apart. Okay, my life was falling apart. So it was an easy book for me to pick up. Yeah. Because it was written for me.
Right. The universe put it there for you.
That's exactly right. It was absolutely written for me. And it could have been when you fall apart. I still would have picked it up.
Right.
So that book was, and just like the simplicity of Buddhism and the kindness in Pema's voice. I didn't even know who she was, There's a Tibetan Buddhist center in San Francisco that I used to go to. It was very close to me. I lived in the Lower Haight during this time when I left the relationship. And so I used to go there and I, got to know what Tibetan Buddhism was like, Zen Buddhism. Anyway, that book was amazing. And I want to just point out Marianne. So I started to see her in San Francisco probably in, 1996. She'd come to the Masonic Temple and she changed my life in this way, in this phrase, which she uses still. There are 2 emotions, there are 2 emotions, love and fear. Right. If you are in fear, you are not in love. Correct. And I chose to be in love. That's awesome. And that's it. At 25 years old, when I left, I chose to be in love, and I did not look back.
That's fantastic.
I didn't. And I worked my tail off, and I still had many years in front of me of falling on my face.
Yes. So how do you first of all, love that. You're right. Fear, love. I'm all about. I lean into love with everything I have.
I know you do.
And so how does one then you're now the Chief Heart Officer, which is such an amazing title for you, but the Chief Heart Officer for 800 people and growing exponentially by the day for one of the most well-known companies and one of the most well-known people in the world.
That's right.
How does one, and I asked James this, how does one scale that? How do you touch 800 people with your heart and not allow the logic of the HR world to interfere with the heart of the Claude Silver world?
Okay, so you're asking me that question, a person that I just told you I don't have a lot going on in my head. I know right, I know wrong. Yeah. I know when I'm being subjective and judgmental, and I know when I'm being objective and I'm holding space in a non-judgmental way. So there's not a whole lot of logic because human beings are not frickin' logical.
That's right.
That's the clincher. So how do you scale me? I meet tons of people all day long. I have one-on-ones all day long. I meet magnificent people such as you, who's just giving me the time of day to listen to what I have to say. I meet every single person, and my hope is that in that room, in those 15 minutes or half an hour, something has changed. They have chills on their arm just like I did. There's some kind of unlock. Yeah. And to the quote that's right there, which is I have it in 2 places in my room, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. How you made them feel, how I make them feel is all that matters. Yeah. And that's how I scale.
Yeah, so this is the perfect interview, perfect time to tell the story of how I met you.
Okay.
Because I think this speaks more volumes of who you are as a human being than anything that I've learned about you, read about you, listened, and I've done all the homework on you. And so I come to meet you and James Rossini to interview both of you the podcast. You were gracious enough to give me time to interview you. So I come up, this is a month or so ago, and I interviewed James first. And he's a fascinating human being. And so the interview goes long. The interview goes 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes long. And he walks us back out to the lobby, and we wait a couple minutes, wait 5 minutes, and then you come out, and you're like, hey, listen, your interview with James went long and I am booked. I cannot get out of this next meeting and I'm so sorry. I only have 15 or 20 minutes. And I'm like, listen, no problem. Can we reschedule? You reschedule yourself. You don't send an assistant out. You don't send somebody else out. You come out and you say, hey, I'm really sorry. And you pull out your phone and you reschedule the interview right then and there. And now I'm like, this is great. No problems. This is awesome. Then you take a step further and like, well, listen, I still have 15 minutes. Why don't you come back to my office and let's just get to know each other for a couple minutes. Now, your time is unbelievably valuable. You could have taken that 15 minutes to get a coffee, take a break, take a deep breath, meditate by this view of looking at I'm sitting in your office looking at the Statue of Liberty, Freedom Tower, and Hudson Bay all in one, right? So you could have spent 15 minutes just looking at that view, but you don't. You come out yourself, you apologize, you make me feel incredible. I get on the train that night. I was with Sydney. I get on the train that night and I'm like, how amazing was that day? It was the single greatest postponement I've ever had in my life. I shit you not. It was incredible. But that speaks to the heart of who you are. And is that how you operate? And I know the answer to this, but is that just how you deal with 800 employees? Is that how you deal with everybody in your life?
I'd like to think so, yes. And I also want to say, like, I met you, and I think I even said to you, we are like spirit animals of one another, and yet you're like 7 feet tall. And I'm
6'8", you're 5'2".
Yeah, 5'2" on a good day. I'm shrinking. You gave me a return to love. Like, it was supposed to happen. Yeah. We were supposed to spend time together, and no matter how small the time was. Yeah. And look, I am so fortunate. I am so blessed. I have me, and I work on me a lot, and all I want to do is be of service. I want to be of joyful service. Yeah. That's not lip service. Ooh, didn't mean that.
Yeah,
but
that was awesome.
I want to be of joyful service. I want to make people feel better. But by the way, I can't go poof. Yeah. They have to want to do it too.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what happened to me way back in the day. Like, no one could make me heal. I had to want to get out of bad situations. I had to want to stop doing drugs. Yeah, right. I had to want to be kinder to myself. So anyway, yes, I dig people.
Yeah. And you're good at people. You're good at people. So you said something which I really wanted to talk to you about, and that is this idea of empathy, trust, recovery, healing, all of it. So you read a book and you have it on your wall. I know we shared this book, Radical Candor, great book by a lady named Kim Scott, and it's written in a setting of organizational feedback, giving feedback, but I didn't really read it in that. I read it in relationships. Like I read the book going, this is a relationship book, and I had this thought. And radical candor is where I care personally and challenge directly. Yeah. Care personally, challenge directly. And one of the things is, and I'm so curious to find out, because you were in a bad place, bad time, bad place, bad relationship. People don't normally leave pain until it's excruciating. Even if it's horrible pain, they don't really leave it until something big happens. So they have this shift moment till something happens. And so usually it takes somebody's help to get them to realize that the pain is that bad. Do you agree with that? Like
I do. We're all mirrors of one another. So
right.
Yes.
Perfect. So my theory is that we need to build trust with one another so that we can deliver pain empathetically, so we can help solve problems with love. Now this sounds crazy, right?
No, love it.
But the first step in that is building trust with somebody, so that I can tell you how bad the pain is. Because if I go to the doctor and I say I hurt my leg, the first thing they're going to do is touch my leg where it hurts without fail. Right? They want to see me in pain, just so they can administer the. Do you buy into that? That literally people that love us, can't always be the source of the sunshine, but they need to help us see that we're in the dark clouds. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think that life isn't always a bowl of cherries.
Correct.
There are people that come into our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Right.
That is a belief of mine,
I
for
agree,
sure.
100%.
And I mean, I'm quoting I told you earlier that I have song lyrics in my head all the time.
Yeah.
So Grateful Dead just popped into my head. Once in a while, you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right.
Nice. Deep.
Okay, so that could be a friend, that could be a lover, that could be a stranger.
Yeah.
Everyone is here to teach us something. Yeah. And I really believe that we are all teachers, we are all students. And the minute I ever forget that I am a student, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Because I don't know anything. I'm learning everything. I don't know anything. I'm learning everything.
Every day.
But I want to say one other thing about the building trust. Building trust takes connection. Mm-hmm. It takes sitting down and connecting with one another. You and I connected over 15 minutes. We connected over a love of Marianne Williamson. Yeah. We connected all of a sudden over the fact that you have twin girls and I'm going to have a baby girl. Like, we connected. I didn't know you.
Correct, right. I never met you before.
All I knew was, oh my God, I only have 15 minutes. This guy's late.
Yeah.
James went over. Like, that's my logical mind.
You're right.
But something happened, and all of a sudden I started to trust you.
Yeah, likewise.
And
I've known you my whole life.
Yeah, and then care for you. Yeah. Then we started to, we got a nice texting going on. So connection is key. We are, human beings are wired to belong.
Correct.
We are wired to be in connection and community with one another. And that's what we started. You and I started. Yeah. So when we're in a feedback session or having to deliver some radical candor, you don't want to just come in and cut the person, shank them.
Right.
You got to connect with the person.
Correct.
No one wants to hear, look, how many people want to hear that they suck?
Right.
No one. But how many people want to hear enough that I care about you and I want to help you grow, so I'm going to give you some real feedback. Correct. Real feedback. And I'm going to deliver it from the heart with specificity, with clarity, with kindness. Right. And I'm going to have your back. Yeah. I'm going to follow up with you. That's the magic here. Right. That's what we... But that's like we got to grease that wheel every day.
No, I so agree with you, and I think it starts with that connection. What's amazing to me is that people, I find that trust and connection are so important. But I think that most people, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, "What comes first, trust or vulnerability?" And they said, "Well, if I trust you, I'm willing to be vulnerable with you." I said, "Well, if you trust me, it's not vulnerability."
Interesting.
Because vulnerability is, I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to use against me. Well, if I already trust you, I already know you're not going to do that. So if you want trust, it starts with vulnerability. It starts with me putting myself out there where I know that you may hurt me, where you may use this against me. And when you don't, then I've now gained trust. But so many people spend their whole life holding back because they are afraid they're not trusting, that I don't trust you. Well, you're doing the very thing that's causing the distrust, because I need you to be open with me. And that's what, to me, it's, once we figure that out, now I have human connection. Now I trust you. Now I'm open for the feedback, and that connection is so important, right? Yeah. That's how you gain it.
Yeah, you're open for business.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So let me ask you a question. So now I'm going to shift gears a little bit, right? Okay. So you work for a guy, Gary V, well-known guy. If you listen to this, you know who the guy is. So really well-known guy. But every person that I've met, and I've met a lot of people now with under the Vayner brand, but every person I meet is just as incredible as this guy, Gary. And I met Gary V a couple times. I am in awe of the level of people that he surrounds himself with. Yeah. Right. How does that make you feel as somebody that is, to be on King Arthur's Knights of the Round Tables, right? You're sitting there, and you're a female, right? Yep. Two, your journey to get here wasn't paved in gold, right? Mm-hmm. So you've overcome the struggles to get here. So in the theory, it's like, look around you. How does that make you feel that you're there? Because to me, it's just that journey is to be at that table is pretty remarkable.
Yeah. So I work for Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
And Gary Vee is different. And that's a distinction I make a lot of the time. So Gary Vee is the brand, but I work for the man, Gary Vaynerchuk. Right. And the man, Gary Vaynerchuk, is a human being. He's just like you and me. He happens to be brilliant. He happens to be whip smart.
Yeah.
And he has an ability to read people. He really, really does. To be invited into his world and to know that we care about each other enough that we connect, we are vulnerable with one another, we trust one another, like that's an enormous honor. Yeah. That's an enormous honor because I look up to Gary. He's a mentor in many ways. Yeah. And again, I think we're all teachers.
Yeah, right.
So I think Gary has an amazing ability to spot gold. And gold, it might not be shiny gold, by the way, but there might be some gold in that rock, and you just got to kind of mine it a little bit and rub it. I think he's got that ability, and he believes in people. He does not give up on people. And being at that table and being a senior female feels amazing. It feels great.
The way it should be.
Well, yeah. So, like, it feels great. It's the way it should be, and I want to recognize, like, I know it's not everywhere, and I also know, like, I've got a very, very, a very unique situation going on.
Yeah, but because of that unique situation, because of because you're sitting at that table, do you sit at that table and do you think? And again, the father in me comes out, the father of twin daughters, and I'm married to one of the most amazing women in the world. I'm saying, you talk about strong, powerful, amazing women. That's my wife. So my kids are already surrounded by it. But do you sit at that and understand the enormity of the fact that there are millions of people that follow Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary Vee, both, right? The company, the man, which I love, by the way. And they're going to start following you. They're going to see you. They're going to follow the Claude Silver brand, right? 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 days from now, we're going to say, here's the Claude Silver brand, right? It's just as powerful. Do you, the enormity of some girl that's sitting in class right now, 13 years old, 16 years old, somewhere sitting in class, is going to be able to get to where you got faster and better, faster and quicker than you did because of you?
I hope so.
Like you literally have set the express elevator for you. Does that, like, that feeling to me? I don't have that feeling because I'm not going to do that. But for you, like that, that
makes me so happy. My two nieces, 11 and 13 years old, I hope it's an express train for them. But an express train with integrity. Yeah, right. And an express train knowing that it's not always peaches and cream, as I said earlier, you know. And I really, really hope that anyone that listens to this or anyone that's out there that is struggling, that is on the bottom, that has dealt with things that I've dealt with or things that are in a similar zip code, they can see it. Like, there are beautiful things that happen. You have to put your bravery boots on, man, and you have to be willing to take one step at a time. But no one else can put your boots on for you. Correct. That's the deal. Yeah. So
what's the Claude Silver step one for that person, for that girl, for that woman right now that's in the abusive relationship, or that's down, that's on the floor, that feels broken? What's the first step?
Yeah, don't keep it a secret.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever heard that saying, we are as sick as our secrets?
No, but I love it.
Yeah, so when you keep shame in, what does it do? Kills you. Kills you. And I kept it in for a long time.
Yeah. So the shame for me has always been, I'm not enough. Right? I am the mistake.
That's a belief.
I am the mistake.
Right. So that's a belief. Yeah. Shame is what got you there. Think about that. Yeah. Your limiting belief, your imposter belief, is you are not enough. Something, experiences, got you to feeling I am not enough.
Yeah. So you just mentioned imposter syndrome. imposter, right? So
Yeah.
everybody deals
Welcome
with that.
to it.
Yeah,
Welcome
right.
to the
Everybody
world.
deals with that, right? And I think it's becoming more and more well-known, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It's out there. There's a million books written on it now, and but everybody deals with it at some point, and deal with it on a. I'm 44 years old. I have my own company. I have an amazing wife. I have an amazing family. I have a deep love for everything, basically, and I deal with it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Right. And so, how do you recognize that? How does one recognize that, and how does one fight that, to overcome that?
So it's something that I talk about a lot here because I'm meeting with human beings on human terms, life on life's terms.
Yeah. Right.
So the way I can spot that is I ask them questions. I listen for their insecurities. I listen to what their limiting beliefs might be. Now, most of us have the same limiting beliefs of I am not enough or I'm not worthy. I think it's a human condition. I have no idea why that's it for, I would say, 99.9% of us, but it is. And I'd love to study that at some point.
Yeah. Right.
So how do you help someone, A, identify that limiting belief, and how do you help someone retrain and reprogram that voice? That's the key.
Key.
That is the key. And, the post that you're referencing this morning, in that video I say, name your fears, give them a name, Sally, Bob, Johnny, Sarah.
Yeah.
Put them in the back seat with an iPad, a movie. Let them be in the back seat. You drive the bus.
Yeah, right.
You, big you.
Right.
Big, full, strong you, brave, gone through life you.
Yeah.
So, but we have to identify our own limiting beliefs. Otherwise, they're just gonna it's like a riptide. They just keep taking us under.
Yeah, I gave a talk, and I was telling them about the story. I went and saw the Statue of David. I was with my wife. We were in Florence, and I saw the Statue of David, which is just unbelievable.
Oh my God!
And I saw this. I listened to the docent next to us, and she told the story of how it was created. They said when Michelangelo uncovered the statue, that a little girl pulled his cloth and said, "How'd you create something so beautiful out of a piece of rock?" And he said, "I didn't. It was there all along. I just chipped away the
Stone
edges."
was there,
right?
yeah.
And to me, that was the big shift moment in my life, because I realized that had been me my whole life, that all these excuses and alibis and imposter syndromes and all these limiting beliefs, we're not born that way. Your daughter will be born into love, will be born into an amazing world of love.
Yeah, she won't be returning to love.
Correct. She will be born into love.
Yeah.
But what happens over time is, and I was born into the same love.
Yeah, so was I.
But what happened over time is my father left. I didn't get this, so I didn't go to college, and all these limiting beliefs, and that's the rock building up. That's the rock building up. And it wasn't until I met my wife that I started to chip away the rock, because I saw how beautiful she was, how amazing she was, and I said, I want that. Yeah. And so, understanding this, eventually those limiting beliefs, like you said, they just immobilize us.
Yeah. They become if we're going to use a rock metaphor like that, how many rocks can you put in a backpack and still walk?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Very few.
Yeah.
Very
not a
few.
lot.
So let me ask you a question. So new parent, new mom, right? New mom coming.
Here we go.
Yep,
5 weeks.
Yep,
Yikes.
5 weeks, which is going to be, I'm saying, it's going to be greatest moments of your life. So looking forward, you don't know what you don't know yet about parenthood, but what is the lessons? What are the top 3 Claude Silver parenting lessons in the future? You don't even know what's going to happen yet, that you absolutely will teach your daughter.
First of all, I'm going to crack open when this baby comes out, and when I realize that she's looking to me. I'm going to crack open.
Yeah.
I just need to say that. I think I will teach her how to crack open, how to be real, how to never. Let me put it this way: to never let go of her realness, to not put on a mask. I hope that she grows up in a household, in a family, and in a village where she feels the freedom to express herself in any which way she wants.
So incredible.
Yeah, I really do. And this younger generation they're right there. They're so gender fluid and everything's possible, and I'm so in awe.
So misunderstood. I think that the millennials, the Gen Z, it's so misunderstood right now. Because I see that more than anything.
Well, you got two of them.
Right. I see. My daughters. I told this story I think on another podcast, but my daughters, some kid had made a not a nasty, but a mean video of them and posted and sent it all around to all their friends. Yeah. And they got one of their friends sent it to them, and I said, "What do you want to do with it?" As a parent, I want to throat punch the kid.
Of course, throat punch. That's such an image.
So horrible. But I had to be the better person, right? So I'm dying on the inside. I said, "Well, what would you like to do?" To my 13-year-old daughters, and they said, "Well, we're going to take the video and we're going to post it on our social media." Now it's a video disparaging them.
Yeah.
And I said, "You are?" And they said, "Yeah, well, we're going to take the power away and we're going to own the video and we're going to put it out." And so they put it out on their social media and said, "We forgive you, right? Everybody hurts sometimes and it's okay." And as a father, I literally cry thinking about it because that's the generation we're living in. It's an amazing group of people that are going to run this world 80 years from now, 50 years from now, 30 years from now, right? It's crazy, and your daughter's going to be part of that, which is pretty remarkable, right?
She is.
Is it okay to cry during the podcast?
Yeah.
So all right. So listen. So now you're soon-to-be mom. You're a chief heart officer. What's next? World domination? I'm saying. Well, I ask this question a lot, but what's the book?
Leading with Heart.
Leading with Heart. And when's it coming out? I know you haven't even written it yet, but I know it's got to be coming out, right?
It's being written. I'll let you know. Hopefully, in a year. I mean, I got to be a mom first.
You got.
but we can do that simultaneously because it's all the same.
So what's the difference between being a mother and being the chief heart officer?
I don't know, man. You got to ask me in the day after she's born. Yeah. I will let you know. Because
you have a great mother.
I have a great mother, a great grandmother. I'm surrounded by strength in women, and I have not only in this job. I mean, in this job, I'm able to, take care of, be in service of, work for all of these great people. But in my whole life, I've always worked. I've always managed and coached people, and not that that's being a mom. There is a sense of maternalism and, hey, I got your back. Like, I root for you.
Yeah.
Like, I root for you. That's true. I root for you. I like four-word sentences today.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Totally.
I root for you. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, I root for you.
When things fall apart. And guess what? Things will continue to fall apart. It is just the way that the world goes. It is. We are human beings. We just learn. We learn every single time we fall down that, it just reopens that cut. Yeah. So maybe you won't fall as hard next time. Maybe you'll turn before you fall. Maybe you'll catch yourself before you fall. Maybe you won't get into that situation, and so you won't fall.
Yeah.
But this is life. We are doing our best. I believe that. I believe in people. I'm an emotional optimist, and the emotional part means, I get it, man. We're reflections of each other. I get it. I've been there. I've been there. But the optimism is, I'm here. I've been there too. I believe in you.
That's incredible. You are one of the most remarkable people I've ever met. I've only known you a short period of time.
Thank you.
But you are amazing human being.
Thanks, Chad.
I thought I was going to get an interview before I met you with the chief heart officer of Vaynermedia. But what I leave with is I got to sit down and talk to Claude Silver for an hour, and I got to build a relationship there, and I am better for that. I will let you know. So is anybody who listens to this or follows you, or if you haven't followed her, again, follow her, because you're I don't even want to say you're going places, because you're already there, and you're going to make your impact on this world.
Thank you.
All right, I got one last question.
That means a lot. Thank you.
One last question for you. So 100 years from now, 50 years from now, 80 years from now, whenever you leave this earth,
I am 49.
Right. Yeah, but which is crazy because you're 49, I'm 44, and you look 20 years younger than me. Because that shit is not fair. Just to let you know,
It's
right?
like I deal with people all day, and I get younger.
Yeah, you get younger. I'm getting older and balder. I don't even know how you can get balder after you're already bald, but I'm figuring that shit out.
I'll give you a transplant.
Yeah, I need it. All right, so listen, so whenever that day comes,
Yeah.
right? What do you want your contribution to this world to be? When it's all said and done, what do you want to have left this world with?
Spreading tenderness, spreading kindness, and creating a legacy of generosity. I want to be remembered as someone that had an incredibly generous heart. Period.
Wow. All right. So where do people find you?
Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just write me. I'd love to be in touch.
Send carrier pigeons.
Yeah, whatever.
You're on the 25th floor in downtown New York. Put a kite next to our window. She'll find it. So I'm saying this view is
like
unbelievable.
I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I love this life. It's a privilege to be here, and it's a privilege to talk to you.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah,
I really am.
Trust me. I am. I said this. I said this as I was coming up today to. No, I'm drawing a blank.
New York.
Sydney. Yeah. Sorry. I'm like in awe. So Sydney, and I said, what's amazing is I'm gonna have Claude Silver on my podcast before Oprah does. So I'm just saying this shit right now, right? So when you're on Oprah, right?
Yeah, Super Soul Sunday.
Yeah, right. And
yeah.
you're
Thank you.
Again, just amazing. So all right. So find her, follow her, link her, tweet her. Do all of it. Do all of it because she is something remarkable. Every morning, almost every morning, I think she does a Facebook Live that is always impactful. I see it when I'm your schedule and my running schedule almost exactly coincide. So I run early in the morning. I get done running, and I'm literally almost every time in my driveway. And here's Claude Silver popping up on my Facebook. So keep those up. It's a great way to start the day.
Thank you very much.
Watch the video. If you like this, comment on it, share it. People need to see and hear the words of Claude Silver because they're unbelievably impactful. Until next time, people.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.